Hi friends, Mrs. Dollier here. I'm going to remind you guys how we can write percent expressions, which was from 5.2 in our textbook. And if you'll notice, I keep using the same steps and the same vocab because it's still a very similar process. So we're still looking at those percent increases, percent decreases. Our steps for using percent of change are the exact same. Find the percent of the number. We do that by converting the percent to a decimal. Multiply the decimal by the original. Then we find the new amount. If it's an increase, add it. If it's a decrease, subtract it from the original. And we have our words that help us decide if it's an increase or a decrease. Increases are markup, tax, gratuity, and tip. More, gain. Decreases can be markdown, discount, sale, less. Remember, that's not all of them. It's just a short list. So I've got an example for us right here. All right, it says, a sports store buys skateboards from a supplier for $S. Write an expression to represent the retail price for skateboards after a 42% markup. Okay, well, I just need to think about this problem first. So a store, so maybe like SBI or Tilly's, or I can't think of any other skateboard shops right now. They buy their skateboards from other people and then they sell them at a higher price in order to make a profit. That's what a markup is. Okay, but they didn't tell me the cost of the skateboards. They said $S. Okay, so now I don't have a number specifically. I have to use a variable. And I'm going to write an expression. And remember from Module 3, an expression is a mathematical statement involving numbers, variables, and operations. Okay? So I'm writing this expression to represent the retail price for skateboards after a 42% markup. Since it's a markup, I know that's an increase. That's why I chose to use green. So I start this by finding the percent of the number. I convert the percent to a decimal. So I'm going to take that 42% right there. I'm going to move the decimal once, twice, and I get that it's 0.42. Okay. Next thing says I need to multiply the decimal by the original. Well, they didn't give me the original. They told me to use the variable s. So to show multiplication with a variable, you get to just put the letter right next to it. So that 0.42s means 0.42 times s, times the cost of the skateboard. All right, then it says find the new amount. If it's an increase, add it. If it's a decrease, subtract it from the original amount. So this is an increase since it's a markup. I'm going to add whatever this amount right here is going to be. I'm going to add the cost of the original skateboard. I put it at the beginning because if it's a decrease, then I at least have this in the same pattern every single time. Okay, so it would have been a subtraction. It would have been s subtract 0.42s if this was a marked down, but it was a markup. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to combine this expression because s and s are the same variable. I can combine them. There's no number in front of that s, but it's technically a 1. So this is 1s plus 0.42s. And when I combine those, I can simplify this to become 1.42s. Because 1 plus 0.42 is 1.42. All right, there was one example. Got one more for you and then we're done. Oh, went a little too far, sorry. The scrolling on this is not the best. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. So Spirit Halloween marks down all of its Halloween candy by 20% off the regular selling price. Okay, so I'm gonna underline marks down already. So this is a sale. Oh, probably Halloween's over. They need to get rid of the candy. So they do this by 20% off the regular selling price. Write an expression to find the discounted price of the candy. This one didn't tell me what variable to use, so I can use whatever. But I'm going to start with finding that percent of the number by converting the percent to a decimal. So I got to move the decimal once, twice. So it's going to be 0.2. I can add the 0 or not. It's up to me. Then I need to multiply it by the original. Well, they didn't tell me what the candy is going to cost, so I can use a variable. And I'm going to use C for candy. So I'm multiplying by the cost of the original. And the last part, find the new amount. Okay, if it's an increase, add it. If it's a decrease, subtract it from the original. Okay, well, this is a decrease, so I'm going to subtract it from whatever the candy cost. I'm using these variables because I don't know what it is right now. So that way later on, if I know what the price of the candy is, I can put the number in place of where C is right now. And then there's one last thing I can do. Remember, I can combine these like terms and simplify this expression. This C right here represents just one C. Then I can subtract those. I can do it in my head or I can use a calculator, but I would get that this is 0.80 C. Oh, and that's like saying you're actually just paying 80% of the cost of the candy. And even up here, this means this one, you're paying 142% of the cost of the skateboard. That makes sense because you're paying the entire amount of what they had to pay for the skateboard and the 42%. Whereas here, you're paying less than what it cost. So you're taking away from the 100% by 20, and you're only paying for 80% of the candy. All right, reach out if you guys have any question. Bye, friends.